And welcome to the Confound Millennial, starring Steven Stirvin Michaels and featuring special guest Austin Visser of the Undertaking.
My friends are scavengers, ripping at the bones. They pick apart my life again, feeding on my confidence. They take and take until it's gone, waste away until the dawn. I can disappear with the best of them.
What's going on, buddy? Good to be here.
Dude, good to have you, man. It's a good day in podcast land.
I love it. Let's rock and roll.
So first off, I got two questions that I really want to ask, and I think I'll ask the first one. After listening to your music, I have a really big one. Why are you so angry?
Dude, right? The beauty of our band is there's a massive juxtaposition between our content, our like the imagery that you see on the album artwork, and just how our lyric, our subject matter, and how we present our aggressive music. The juxtaposition is that all of us, like we were talking earlier, we're just a bunch of nerds, and we're out here to have fun. And somehow over the course of time, it just translated itself into becoming kind of aggressive and a little bit mean. It's funny that you said, why am I such a mean person? Because in the studio, I'd like rip off these like lyrics and do a take. And then our manager and producer, Joey, would be like, dude, you're so angry. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, it's I was listening to this album you guys got coming out soon, Funeral Songs, and man, dude, number one, it starts off just angry, and secondly, every song gets better and better the whole time.
Cool. Okay, so you've listened to the whole album. You've listened to all 11 songs, and yeah.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
sick. Cool.
I started out, and really, you guys aren't my normal thing, to be honest. And I was like, okay, I can deal with this. It's not bad. It's new. And then I'm like, okay, this is my favorite song off this so far. And then it got to a point where every song became my new favorite song off of it.
Man, I love that. I love hearing that, because to be honest, we're very proud of the 11 songs that we put together in the studio. If we dive into the album, each one kind of builds on itself. And the crazy part is Solid State has this release structure, and they have the singles that they're putting out. And not that there was a disagreement, but we pitched which singles we wanted to lead with, and they were completely different than what Solid State. Now, Solid State, genius in how they marketed us up to this point and which songs they're kind of putting out there so that people kind of see different sides of what our band can offer. But like a song like number 10, which is I Really Don't Want to Be Here, that was one of the songs that we had pitched as one of our lead singles. And we just really adore some of these songs that aren't even out there before. So yeah, all that to say, we're really excited for people to dive into this album. And we think that all 11 songs are pretty rad. So
yeah, like I said, it's not anything against the earlier songs. It was just for me getting into pretty much a new genre of music for me. You guys are a mix of punk and metal that I don't really, you're like the sides of the metal and sides of punk I don't really listen to often.
Sure.
So it was like a new experience. It wasn't that I disliked any of it. I listened to the album 2 times, and I wanted it to be fresh on my mind when we started this. So I timed it out. I just finished the last song right before we opened this call. And that's honestly, that one is my favorite one. But lyrically, cool. I really relate to that one right now.
Dude, I'm stoked to hear that. that's going to be the featured track. So that's going to release we just filmed a music video for that song this past week. So that's going to come out right when the album comes out on April 30th. And yeah, we're really excited for people to hear. The title of the song is the title of that one is "And Everything Worked Out Just Fine," which is just a fun resolution to the whole album. Because truthfully, the title, it's like, everything's not fine, but it's fine. We're fine. We just keep going, and the album ends with the "I'm not." Yeah, and the album ends with the whole "I'm not dead yet," save the eulogy thing. We're proud of that one too, because Cove from Seosin sings on the chorus of that song, and so that was fun to get to work with him.
Yeah, just all in all, solid album. It's good. It's good stuff, man. I don't know. I like it, dude. I can't wait till you guys start releasing more singles and I can share those with the fans, because it's just all good stuff. And right now you just got No Friends out, right?
We released O Negative and then just released No Friends with the music video as well. So there's 2 songs out there. I'm not certain when this will release, but on April 16, we're doing Take Me Down the River, our 3rd single, and then And Everything Worked Out Just Fine is going to come out right with the album. So on April 30th, you'll get to hear that track along with all the other songs.
Right. And we'll be sure we're going to reshare this episode once the album comes out too, because we want people to, listen to not just this episode, but to you guys, Yeah,
appreciate that.
But I think we were talking about And Everything Worked Out Just Fine. It's kind of funny, like this week, I moved up from Georgia to Kentucky a couple months ago. And this week, the people that I left the state because of, they're coming up here. So I'm going back down to Georgia for the weekend. And just that line, I came here to get away from you people, get away. I was like, yeah.
I love that resonates with you, because that was a line, so often as humans, we need some space, and you have those people in your life who just don't want to give that to you. And you've tried to talk to them. You've tried to say, okay, I need some space. I need you to kind of give me some room. And they kind of just follow you around. And yeah, that's a fun line. And so we used to actually, when we were able to play shows, we would start our sets with that line and then go into the next song. Because at that point, we actually hadn't written the full song. So our set would start, like, literally I'm yelling at our crowd that's there to watch us, like, I came here to get away from you.
That's so great. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And then, the whole concept is just somebody who you're in a relationship or whatever that looks like, and somebody's not giving you the space that you're requesting. And you're like, why are you following me? Like, I'm trying to push away, but you're not allowing that for me. You're not allowing that to happen.
It's like immediately, after the situation I first told you, the immediate thought that I had come to my head was a memory of a few years ago. I have social anxiety to a point where, like, I'm a social butterfly, but when it turns off, it's off. I'm going home. F you, F your family, F whatever. I'm going to my room. And I got off work one day, and I was just in that mood, like, fuck everything, I'm going home. And my roommate at the time, we're broke millennials, so I had the TV in my room, and we had a PlayStation 2 hooked up to it. This is just a couple years ago. That was our gaming setup, and he was in my room playing the PlayStation, and had about 5 of our friends in there.
Yeah, which, like, no.
Yeah, he was chill to play the PlayStation, but he was not chill to have 5 of my friends in there when I'm in the mood. Like, I came here to get away from you people, get away.
So I'm in the same boat as you. I call myself a fake extrovert. So you can get that because you have a podcast. You're out there. You're talking to people. I'm on a stage, like yelling at people. You think like, oh, you're an extroverted person, but yeah, as soon as that needs to turn off, I'm grumpy and I want to go back into my cave. So I actually in college, I lived in the dorms for 1 year because I couldn't hang. Same situation. You're coming home from classes or you just got done with an exam or studying and you just want to like zone out in your dorm room. And we'd have just like a bunch of people in there. And it's that situation where you're like, hey, this is cool, but this is my space. Could you guys like go find another spot to hang out? Which, right. I'm not a grumpy person, but also at the same time, I kind of know sometimes I need to just chill. And yeah, please leave me alone.
It's like I felt really bad. That happened a second time. And a buddy of mine used to be a co-host on the show. He ran out in front of my car, waving me down, thinking I was just about to pull into the parking lot and leave. I was just going to pull in. I had bought 2 ices for my roommate and his girlfriend. I was just going to pull in, drop those off, and then go park somewhere else. But he thought I was leaving, so he drunkenly runs in front of my car. I slam the brakes, icy all over my windshield. I never cleaned my car, but I cleaned it for the first time in about 6 months that day. And,
you're like pissed. You're like, dude, those were good slushies that we just wasted.
I was like, the fucking slushies, man. Yeah. Good men are down.
Yeah.
But
that's kind of, it reminds me too, like that ties into No Friends a little bit too, where that's a song just about how, you know, it's hard to be a friend and hard to have friends and be able to communicate. So yeah, there's a lot of themes like that where I'm just like trying to voice some of my frustrations, one with myself, because sometimes, you know, you find yourself fighting that introverted side and you're like, dude, why can't I just be chill? Why can't I be nicer in this situation? But you realize like, no, I also need my space. So that's a lot of stuff we play around with on the album.
Like I realize I'm one of the worst friends you can be out there. Because I'm introverted when I want to be introverted, but when I'm extroverted, all I want to do is talk. Like I'll call up a friend and I'll go for 15 minutes and then I'm like, oh shit, how's your day been? I forgot to ask. You doing all right? Can I vent for a minute after I've vented for 15?
Yeah, exactly. Some people weren't prepared. I think like even just the title of that song, No Friends, and like even I really don't want to be here. There's a lot of stuff like that, but I think a lot of our songs and content dripped a little bit in sarcasm. And so it's like, well, don't take it for face value. We have friends, but it's a little bit more jarring and shocking when you see a song title called No Friends and gets people to click through.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I saw the song title and it says no friends, and then the first line is something about all my friends. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought you had one.
No, but they're scavengers, man. They pick you apart.
Dude, it's you got some deep lyrics going on in there, and there's one thing I wanted to ask you about, just mainly because of some things going on in pop culture, but there's a lot of biblical themes sprinkled throughout it. Is that was there a falling out with the church at one point? Are we going to be making Little Nas Satan shoes next, or what's going on there?
Right. This album, yeah, this album was written obviously, and not obviously, but it was written last year during COVID, and so that was just, it was inspired by a really bad year for a lot of people. You got politics, you got race riots, you have obviously a pandemic. People are getting furloughed, and so there was a lot of frustration with just life in general that we were kind of toying around with, and I think inspired by current events and kind of what was going on. That's where that comes from. I myself, I attend church. I work at a church, and so I have a lot of faith weaved in there. To be very clear, that we're just a band. You know, I always tell people that we're just a band. Take that for face value. We're just hanging out and we want to play music. So listen to it, and I hope people are able to take meaning from a song just what I say in my lyrics, that they can apply that to whatever situation they're in. And in this specific instance, I'm taking it as like, yeah, dude, it was a bad year. So I'm expressing my frustration to the universe and just saying, hey, like in O Negative, there's a line that says, I keep looking to the sky for help, for relief that isn't coming. And I feel like that's so many people yelling out to whatever institution they're calling out to, and just saying like, can I get some help here? And nobody's calling back. And so that's where it is a little bit more universal than just in like the Christian church and stuff. But there's a lot of critiques about this specific church as well. I mean, I don't want to dive too far into politics and what's going on and stuff, but the church is not perfect, and a lot of people who participate in the church have massive issues that they're not willing to work with. So yeah, there's some frustration towards the church. There's frustration to pretty much any institution that you could name in that album. Yeah, trying to be a little bit controversial.
Yeah. And the reason I bring it up is, I used to go to church. I'm sober now, so when I go to meetings, it's Celebrate Recovery instead of AA. Yeah. But my podcast isn't the most friendly thing for those friends. But I just those parts of it resonated with me because I feel what you were writing there.
Yeah. Take, for instance, a song like Wrenches. Spent too much time living in the void, 4 wasted years. Like that's just we're pissed and just, whatever, like I keep saying, like whatever institution that is, there's a lot of frustrations, and that's the government and supporting people, whatever. There's a lot to it. So I hope whoever listens to that song is able to apply what I was able to say and kind of put that into context in their own life.
Right.
That's really cool. Yeah. Congrats on being sober. That's a big deal.
Thanks. Thank you. But you mentioned Wrenches. That's actually, I said that the last song on the track was my favorite, but really Wrenches was where I was like, this is some good shit.
Good.
Good.
We're very proud of that song. You're gonna hear a ton of different musical references throughout our album. Are you familiar with Ghost?
Yes.
So that chorus is very much like a Ghost type chorus. It's big and theatrical, and there's a lot of harmonies and stuff weaving in and out of it. And so that, we were definitely inspired by something like that. But then there's also really heavy hitting stuff with the beginning and the end, how we're doing those massive hits on the offbeats and all that stuff.
Now, when you're doing an album like this, just out of curiosity, do you guys decide like the order of the songs that are put on the album, or is that something that like the label does?
No, that was us. That was we recorded this album in August of 2020 at a place. We're from San Diego. We all live about 20 minutes from each other. And then our manager, Joey Bradford, who's the guitarist of The Used, he's our manager, and he produced and recorded the album at his studio here in North County, San Diego, called the Vibe-atorium. And so that was just a cool opportunity for us in 1 month to be able to go like drive 20 minutes to be able to be at our studio. So every single day we went there, and it was one night specifically, we had gotten almost all the songs done, and we said, hey, we gotta talk about song order. And it was just this like wild night of like writing stuff on the board and trying to figure out the narrative of that whole album. And it kind of just all, as cliche as it sounds, as soon as we started to put everything out there, it all kind of just clicked into place, and realizing like every single one of those songs has its purpose where it is. If you would allow me to geek out about the order, you have the Apocalypse song. The first song on the album has that intro, and then it kind of kicks into that punk beat. You go straight into that to No Friends, which starts with the hammer of the riff, and then there's the song kind of builds to a tension point, and we never really resolved that with song number 2. So then you have song number 3, which is Plague, and that's the one where I start out with the clean vocals, and then that song kind of slowly progresses into chaos. but that's almost like a palate cleanser. Like the first two songs were really aggressive and really fast, and then to be able to go from song 2 to song 3 and have that be a palate cleanser, we thought was a fun move. And then something like Nostalgia can be a nasty beast, which is just like a real quick 1.5 minute song that's like sandwiched right in the middle of the album, kind of as that like hinge point of, okay, here's your little interlude that's not really an interlude as we go into the back half of the album.
Yeah, it very much like first listen through, I could tell that, you know, it not really necessarily in order, but the second time I was listening to it, and it almost had the complete opposite feel the second time, once I knew what I was, you know, what you guys were about. And I listened to it, and I was like, I think it was the third or fourth song in, I was like, did they like write this all to go in this specific order?
Yeah, no, none of it was written in a specific order, but everything kind of fell into place, which is a happy accident, to be honest. And yeah, we shipped that off to Solid State, and they accepted it that way. So they didn't have any notes on even songs and stuff. We didn't have to go back and redo anything. They're very happy with what we presented to them.
It's great. How long have you guys been band?
Yeah, we've been officially a band for about 2.5 years. So we started in the summer of 2018. Talking about your posters in the background and kind of nerding out. It was Comic-Con, July 2018. We tried to get together, but I was at Comic-Con that weekend. And so the week after is when we practiced for the first time. But this band has roots going way back to junior high school and college. The drummer, Brent, and one of the guitarists, Keith, and I, we've been playing music on and off for years, never taking it super seriously. And then in college, kind of went our separate ways. I stayed in San Diego for school. Keith actually became a professional triathlete, and Brent went to Michigan. And then after college, as we started careers, we all kind of landed back in San Diego, which then at some point there was just enough time where we were like, hey, why, somebody sent a text and it's like, hey, why aren't we playing music? And we ended up just getting back together, and just through the flurry of, I spit a little bit, through the flurry of 2.5 years, we just kind of hit the ground running. And I think being a little bit older, I'm 33, most of us are in our 30s. We just were like, hey, if we're going to take time away from our families and really focus on the band and do this, we have to take it seriously. And so I think because we were very committed to practicing every Monday night for a long time, like it just kind of took off. And next thing you know, we're recording a full-length album on a pretty rad label.
That's crazy. You know, and one thing, I mean, it's crazy that 2 years and you're already getting a full length. Like, a lot of bands will just put out a bunch of EPs time, you know, year after year, couple years, and never get that opportunity to do that full length professionally. And but the thing is, these bands that I've been having on the show, they all have one thing in common, even though their music is very different. You and all the pop punk bands and pop people, and even the guy that plays music with a Game Boy, hard working mofos. They have their time that they work on it, and they dedicate to that.
Yeah, thanks for noticing that. So we always kind of joke around that we're a chaotic rock band from San Diego with a can-do attitude. And so, yeah, we work hard, man. I mean, if we didn't work hard at this, we wouldn't be where we're at. And I appreciate you saying, like, it's just been 2 years to kind of be where we're at. We're aware of that every single day. And we are lucky and so fortunate to have kind of tripped and fell forward in this situation, because I know there's a lot of hardworking bands out there who don't get this opportunity, but just hard work and asking the right questions, talking to the right people, making the right connections. And for us, like when we started playing shows, we would be one of the first bands at the venue. We would check in with the sound guy. we would talk to the promoter, make sure that we sold our tickets, got the money. Just everything we did was very organized and intentional. And then, you know, you get in with certain promoters and certain booking agents, certain venues, and they're going to ask you back because we treated their venue with respect. Even though our show is like bonkers and we're crazy, we're still going to try to be respectful. And that's, you know, you saying that is hard work. I appreciate that because we work really hard.
Yeah, you mentioned being respectful and still chaotic. It's like, tear this place to the freaking ground, but not really, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
even I know, I'm not kidding. I'll check in with the venue and just be like, hey, I'm probably gonna climb on stuff. So our live set, we jump around, we're off stage, and just kind of being bonkers. And I'll check in and I'll be like, hey, can I stand on the bar? And we've had venues just be like, please don't. If you stand on this bar, it will fall over and we're not going to be happy with you. And it's like, totally, I'm so glad I asked because I want to check in with you guys and just see what's on off limits, what you guys are good with. And that's created some fun conversations because then I already know the parameters that I can work within.
Right. And, you know, you mentioned showing up early, being respectful of the venue. Another question I got to ask, because I got a buddy that's in a small band starting out, and you know, he plays at bars and stuff, and people don't bring their own equipment sometimes. So I'm assuming you remember to bring your own guitars and drums, right?
We even go a step further. So yeah, we obviously have our amps and guitars, all that stuff. Like we have our own banner. That sounds dumb. I'm like, oh my God, we have a banner, but we bring our own banner that we put up on the stage. We bring our own lights sometimes. And this is on a smaller scale. If we're just playing like a bar around town, because we want to be prepared. And then we'll check in and be like, hey, can we set up our lights? Do you guys have lights? Sometimes the venue says, hey, if you guys don't mind not doing that, because we'll just put on our own light show. But yeah, man, we always want to be prepared for anything. And it's like, you know, even to the point of calling your own shots. We've played a couple places where they just had the house lights on for the first band, and we went and found the promoter or whoever was running the show and being like, hey, do you mind turning these lights off for our set? And just sometimes I think bands aren't willing to go out on a limb and kind of ask for what they need. And you know, the worst thing that could happen is you say, hey, can you do this? And they say no. And if it's like a make or break thing, guess where you're not playing again? Because you're like, oh, this venue kind of sucks.
Right.
And there's a couple venues that we've gotten in trouble. We've had them like they're like yelling at us in between sets, which I'm not bragging about that. That's not something we ever want to have happen. But we had issues with them, and then they even had issues with the people behind them that played after us. And after that show, it's just kind of like hey, that wasn't enjoyable. And even for our fans, like that's not fun for people who are coming to listen to music to have the venue saying like, hey, just stop dancing because we don't have our dance permit. Anyways, I'm not trying to drag anybody, but yeah.
But, hey, I mean, like the thing is, you know, I laughed at that. You know, you said you weren't trying to brag, and I knew you weren't trying to brag. I laughed at it because you can tell, you know, you just went on about how respectful you are to, and then it's like they're still gonna, it's, you know, it's people are weird, man. People are weird, and we all got to work together to not be as weird, but it's a weird thing. And that's like, a lot of things in your album go back to that as well. Like, you know, you were talking about it's hard being a friend, like no friends.
Yeah.
People are just strange things.
So I have, I don't know where I got it from. It's not mine, but every human being is weird and insecure. And it's only a matter of how weird and how insecure I allow you I let you know how weird and insecure I am. So every human, super weird, super insecure. And then we put up these walls and our masks and stuff as we go out in public. And it's up to me to let you know how weird and insecure I am.
Right. And with me, I have barely any walls. You know, I love it. These bands on, and I've got all this stuff. Like, yeah, I'm a nerd. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
went to a Zoom meeting the other day. Everybody else had all their, professional looking stuff behind them. I'm just like, what's up, guys?
Exactly. Well, that's authentic too. And I think we lose the authenticity behind us being people when we try to pretend being something we're not. And that's the whole take on the Undertaking in our album. I'm trying to be as real as possible. And it might be off-putting to some people because they're like, oh, you can't say that. And not that I say anything too aggressive on our album that's like that off-putting, but some people are a little bit off-put by it just being like, oh, you can't say I don't want to be here with you. And it's like, I just did. I don't want to be here with you. Not you in this specific instance, but
it's like, especially now that you're telling me not or what to say, I especially don't want to be here with you now.
Exactly. And people have the boxes and stuff that they want you to check, but nah, it's cool.
But so the album comes out the April 30th, right?
Yep. Our full length drops April 30th. You can pre-order the vinyl now if you collect vinyl, and we appreciate anybody who grabs that or any of our merch and stuff, man. That means a ton to us. But yeah, April 30th, merch. Right at the end of right before summer, and we're hoping to get out there and play some shows if everything starts to go back to normal.
Heck yeah, I know it's a little bit out of the way, but come over to Kentucky. Have a tour just to make it to Kentucky and back.
I spoke to somebody the other day from Boston, so I gotta hit Kentucky on the way out to Boston. But yeah, we would absolutely love to take our show on the road. And this has been a hard year, I know, for the entire music industry, just not being able to do kind of what we set out to do in the beginning, is play shows and play our music. And I can't lift my arm. It's controversial. I don't know who agrees, but I can't lift my arm right now because I got my second dose of the vaccine yesterday. Let's go. We're ready to go.
I got a question about the vaccine, though. Nothing political, but the first time that my cousin got it, he came home and he was like, "Hey man, how you doing?" Like just acting like he had just taken a couple shots. And he's like, I don't know what they put in that vaccine, man. Not talking about microchips. I think they drugged me. Did you have any reaction like that? Or like some people just say it's pain. Some people
We've had a couple of friends. So my wife and I got it yesterday, and both of us feel pretty good. She's got a little bit of a headache today, so my arm is sore, but other than that, I feel pretty good. But I know some friends who were on the couch for like 3 days after either the first or the second dose. Because I hear if you had COVID and you get the first dose hits you harder because your body is attacking the cells when they're coming into your body. And then now this is my second time getting, I didn't get COVID this past year. And so this is the second time that my body's been exposed to the germs or whatever. I don't know the scientific terms for that, but and we're anticipating it to be a little stronger, but so far I'm good. But yeah, 2 of us in the band are vaccinated. 1 guy had COVID, so we got 2 more kind of waiting to see. But then once that's the case, man, we're ready to play some shows and hit the road. I know venues are starting to kind of dust off their sound equipment and maybe get ready. So on the West Coast too, it's a little bit stricter for whatever reasons. But
you were talking about this past year with COVID being tough on bands, and that it definitely has. But what we're seeing right now is all the people that chose to work last year when they didn't have shows coming out with absolute bangers.
Yeah. I don't have a filter. And so I feel like if you didn't go to work during COVID, if you had a band and you didn't work hard through that year, like that's a completely, it was a wasted opportunity. Let me just say it that way. And for us, as soon as we got our shows canceled, we went to work writing. A year ago, we recorded, as soon as shows got canceled, we went to recording a song, Who's Afraid of 11 Wolves, which is one of the singles that we have available on our streaming sites and all that stuff. And then as soon as we released that, we were like, okay, well, COVID's not going away anytime soon. Let's keep writing. And then because the attention that the Wolves song got, we were able to go into the studio. So even before we were going into the studio to record the full length 11 songs for Solid State, we were preparing to do an EP. And so we had like a bunch of demos flying around. And yeah, man, I mean, like at some point we just put our heads down and started to work. Okay, we weren't practicing and preparing for shows. What can we do? And for what our result was, we lucked into getting signed to a label, and they put out an album for us. But you're seeing that, man, like you said, Solid State, Devil Wears Prada is about to do some stuff. There's some other bands that are on the same label that they're about to put out some stuff. I know a lot of people on our label worked really hard during COVID because, you know, what else could you do? And to the detriment of that, man, this year is just going to be a bloodbath in terms of good music already so far, man. Every single week that we've released a song, like other bands that are way bigger and better than us are also releasing stuff. And you're like, dang it, like, could you guys give us a little bit of space? Like we released a song with against Beartooth the other week, and Era. I don't know, there's a bunch of bands that are releasing good music. So it's going to be a good, fun, competitive year. And I think you're going to see that going into tours getting announced soon. Like, I think there's just going to be an onslaught of awesome tours. And my hope, and I'll finish up the thought here. My hope is that people see that and support the bands that worked hard, you know, and just by streaming, listening, buying albums, going out to shows, if they feel comfortable. Like, hopefully this past year taught everybody that if we're going to have a year without live shows and live music, that you realize you took that for granted, and now you're going to come out and go out to shows. If a band comes through your area, you can't really be like, well, next time they come through, I'm going to see them this time. Like, get out there and support bands. And I'm not even just talking about supporting us. I'm talking about any band that any listener out there supports. Like, show them support right now, because everybody needs it.
Absolutely. And it's like, you know, we just keep, you know, every week I'm hearing new music come out, and it's all just so good because all these people worked hard, put their hearts into it. It's got me really excited about all of my personal favorite bands. About 4 of them have albums coming out this summer. And I'm just like, man, you better not let me down. I've been hearing bangers from other people. Y'all better put up, man.
I think the hope would be that we all had plenty of time to write and flesh out the ideas. And I don't know how other bands write, but for us, we had a lot of time to just kind of throw our songs around, deconstruct them, and make sure that they were the best that we could make them. And I hope that that's the case for other bands too, is that they're able to work really hard at crafting really cool, unique songs as we put them out. So yeah, it's exciting. I mean, there's a lot of bands going to release stuff this summer. So we're actually on like the front end of that, where there was like a group of albums that just came out at the beginning of 2021. And then there's like that April area where I haven't seen as many. And then I just keep hearing more and more stuff that's coming out in the summer. And it's like, all right, at least we got it out of the way.
Right. You got a good time because there's kind of a lull in what's coming out right now.
Hopefully that's honestly, yeah, that's like the hope, is we can make a little bit of noise because there's not as much noise going on.
But you know, we've been mentioning just going to work, you know, with the band. It's like this past year I haven't really been able to, just one thing or another has happened where I haven't really had a job for most of it, or have had jobs where I can work around my own schedule. And man, I just put in work with this podcast. A year ago, we didn't even have video. We were just audio only.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's gotten to the point where in a year, I have gotten to talk to all of my favorite bands. I get to meet awesome people like you. You know, if you have art and you're not working on it right now, you're missing out the biggest opportunity of our lives, because we'll never get an opportunity where we can just focus on our art and people won't judge you for just working on that right now.
Yeah, I mean, even like, so I'll take that thought and expand on it. If COVID hadn't happened, the situation we're in right now would never have come to fruition. We, you know, recording the song that we recorded at the beginning of quarantine, that kind of springboarded us into this opportunity. And specifically, Joey in the U's was supposed to be on a freaking awesome tour. He would not have been available to finish his studio and then record our album in that studio that he was able to work on while he was home, not on tour with the U's. And so for us, like, we look at the past year and just realize how fortunate we were. God knows so many people had terrible years. Let me just be very clear. I'm not trying to put myself up in that situation, but we had a rad year because we were able to, we had the opportunity to record a full length album because most of us had either been furloughed or had a little bit more time to focus on our art and craft it, you know, because we weren't just in the normal year to year grind that we had been in. And so, yeah, for us, COVID is the ultimate opportunity for us to go out there and do something awesome, do something so rad, something that we're so proud of. And now looking back, as things start to speed up and the world's starting to kind of wake up again, you're just like, oh my gosh, we're so grateful for that opportunity. And again, like, I was just talking to Joey the other day, and there's festivals and rumors of tours popping up, and you just, that didn't happen last year, and we took full advantage of that.
Right. And it's like Regan just I don't know, last year was tough for everybody. It really was, but like, I had a particularly rough sounding year, but I am so grateful for that year.
Sure.
Like, at one point last year, I was a homeless alcoholic and I didn't have a place to sleep. I was sleeping in a shed, but I had no money, but I'd get my alcohol somehow. And, but like, that sounds awful. But if it wasn't for that year, I wouldn't be in the position I am today, the person I am today, better than I was back then, getting better every day, 7 months sober. And, you know, it's just, I'm not downplaying COVID at all or any bad situations that you're going through, but you really got to look like, where's this taking me to? Where's this taking us to? How can I spin this and make myself better at the end of the day?
Well, man, I want to congratulate you on those decisions, because that's a big deal. I mean, it's so hard to pick yourself up sometimes. And I mean, you can see things clearer now that the past year, and that was hard, but you're a better person because you owned those decisions. And you know, like I said, picked yourself up and kept going. And that's awesome, because it's all perspective. I mean, some people could complain about stuff and you just realize that they're complaining that they're like, Wi-Fi is down. And
Exactly.
it could be so much worse. And for you specifically, like, you experienced that, but then you worked hard to make yourself a better person because of that. And I don't know, it's like you said too, not to downplay anybody else's experiences, because we can only control what we can control. But, you know, experiences teach us so much. And I was told one time that knowledge is power. And sometimes you only know like how dark the darkness can be if you were there. And then once you're back in the light, in whatever situation that is, you look back and you're like, okay, that's something I don't want to do again, you know?
And, you know, it's like, it reminds me of a song. I'm not going to say which one, because I'm not pitching other music on your episode, but it's talking about, you know, this person that just had all these bad things happen in their life, but it makes them feel, the writer feel bad for like all of their things, and they're still happy. And I complain about my Wi-Fi being down.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's all
perspective.
mindset.
It's perspective. You're so focused on exactly what you're looking at that you forget that there's a big world out there, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's like the other day I had big podcast with a guy I'm really a big fan of for years. And I was like, you know, I've realized this past couple of months, like every time I have some good happen, I have some equally bad happen. And I used to, a year ago, I would have been like, oh man, my brakes went out. I'm stuck at home all weekend until I can get this fixed. Who cares that I did this podcast? But this year I was like, my brakes went out. I'm stuck at home. I hate being stuck at home, but I had this really cool thing happen. So whatever, you know?
I love it.
But
That's my kid.
what's up, kid? Yeah, I was like, is this a breaking and entering situation or?
No. No, but I mean, that's the thing is you take advantage of the situations that are at hand and you make the most out of it. And sometimes I think, I don't know if it's our modern day culture, first world problems, stuff like that. Like you end up just whining about stuff that really doesn't matter. And you're missing out on opportunities that you can take advantage of.
Right. And it's like, I don't mean to talk about, my situations, so much on this, but it's like every episode, I like bringing people in. They're like, ooh, I'm going to listen to this band I like, or I'm going to find out about this new band. And then by the end of the episode, you're realizing, oh, I should be a better person too. I should listen to this album and be a better person. That's my takeaway from the show.
I love it. That's Demon Season one. I can't remember. I think it might be song 6 or I think it's song 6. It's the first thing I talk about. It's just all the things that I wish I could change about myself. And I'm saying like, I'm a tough hang. I get it. Like people don't want to be around me. And I say like, I wish I wasn't so cynical. I wish I wasn't so pessimistic, all that kind of stuff. And then you just realize like, okay, like let's take control of that and make the most of it and try to be better people.
Exactly. So, we've talked, we've got hopes of hoping things are going to open up for live shows at some point in the future. We got big dreams going on with this album, Funeral Psalms, coming out April 30th. I remembered something that I meant to say earlier. You mentioned merch and ordering the vinyl. Plug your merch, where we get it. How do we support you?
Yeah, you could go to solidstate.com and you can pre-order our vinyl record. We have some amazing artwork by an up-and-coming artist named Trey Hales, who's been working in the hardcore scene and been doing some stuff for a couple labels. But we're really stoked on the artwork that he put together for us with the fire and the whole kind of woodsy scene. There's 2 different variants that you can purchase. You can get that at solidstate.com. And then if you go to the undertakingrocks.com, you can follow the link to our web store where you can grab some merch. We're pretty stoked on the stuff that we've come up with for the album rollout. And yeah, that's a huge help. And if you, by chance, don't have $20, $30 to spend, the best way you can support us is just by going to our Spotify and clicking the follow button. And then if you have playlists or anything like that, throw our songs in those playlists. And my caveat to that is that's not just us. That's any band that you support, you listen to. We all bow down to the holy algorithm of Spotify and Instagram and all that stuff. So just by liking posts and following and, engaging with that stuff, that's very, very important to bands nowadays, which I wish wasn't the case. But, you got a podcast that you're competing on Spotify and, all those sites, the rate and review, that's a huge thing for podcasts for bands right now, because it's all put in that algorithm that we're kind of all fighting for our territory with. So yeah, vinyl, merch, and then just following along on our social media is a huge thing for us.
Absolutely. Go do it, guys. And, he mentioned same thing with podcasts. Really, guys, same thing with podcasts. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I
rate
don't
and review 5 stars. Let's go, guys. Come on.
I don't often ask, I don't think I've ever once on the podcast been like, leave us a review, guys, like and subscribe. But for real, give us a like on or whatever it is on Spotify and check out, you mentioned playlists. I've mentioned this on social media, but I just realized I never mentioned it in an episode. Both on YouTube and Spotify, we've got a playlist called Confound Jams. It is a list of every song from every band, or not every song that we've featured on the show by every band we've had on the show. So if you want some good music, I don't put garbage on there. It's all just beautiful stuff that I listen to daily. I listen to this playlist daily, and part of it's just the nostalgia and just like the high of, wow, I've talked to these people. This is great. But the other part is good music, man.
Yeah, I'm on it right now on Spotify. It looks it's a good list.
Thank you, man. But my last word for the podcast today is I really like your Snorlax and your Kylo Ren. Is that a skateboard in the background? Kylo Ren skateboard?
Yes, that is a Kylo Ren skateboard that Santa Cruz designed. That's actually a Comic-Con exclusive from a couple years back, and they stopped producing the Star Wars skateboards, which I'm not sure if they weren't popular or if they just went separate ways. But yeah, that was a limited edition skateboard that the artist signed as well, that I got straight from Comic-Con. And then the Godzilla skateboard right next to it is by a company called We Buy Your Kids. They're an outfit out of Australia, and they do just do like the most bonkers artwork. And then yeah, I got right behind me, there's Dave Quiggle, who is a tattoo artist and a hardcore designer in Temecula, California. So yeah, got my art behind me like you do too.
Oh yeah, I have to. We're a nerd podcast, man. I nerd out about music, so that's part of it. But you got to nerd out, man. You got to nerd out.
Let's go. Our guitarist Johnny just finished up a full sleeve on his left arm. That's all inspired by Majora's Mask. So he has got his entire arm covered by Zelda, and then I have Ninja Turtles hidden in my sleeve right there. I got Luke Skywalker's lightsaber back there, and then the Jurassic Park logo, because obviously Jurassic Park is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, I've got some pieces on my arm that are like my own characters that I came up with in high school. I got Kingdom Hearts symbol on my side, Kingdom Hearts on my wrist. I've got a beautiful piece of the Lord of the Rings map on my back.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. I never thought that I would have Ed Sheeran lyrics on me, but I had to get part of the song that he did for The Desolation of Smaug. I See Fire.
Yes, yeah, that's a good one. I'm so surprised actually that they chose Ed Sheeran, because most of the stuff that they had in the post credits for all those movies were like a little, not softer, but just like more female singers and whatever it is. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but then when Ed Sheeran shows up, you're like, wait, that's super random.
Yeah, especially now that like you don't hear from Ed Sheeran anymore. You don't hear much about him. So like looking back at the movies, it's super weird.
What's your take on the Hobbit trilogy?
My take on it is it's a fun ride, man. I mean, it's a fun ride. Like I'm not going to sit here and tell you like I'm not a gatekeeper, you know.
Sure.
I'm not going to be one of those guys that's like, dang it, don't watch it. There was only one book. It should only be one movie. Where's my Lord of the Rings extended 14-day cut?
Yeah. I hated it at
Really?
first viewing, and then I went back and I rewatched it, and I found way more enjoyment in it the second time through. But I'm right there with you, man. Anybody who's creating art or movies, like they worked hard and put their soul into these things. And yeah, I try not to talk too much trash, but I do lament the rumored Guillermo del Toro, he was going to do 2 movies. And I would have loved to see Del Toro's vision for Middle Earth. And Peter Jackson was still going to produce it. But yeah, anyways, they're awesome. I mean, they did some really cool stuff in that.
Yeah, I could go off about nerd stuff, Lord of the Rings, Magic the Gathering all day long, but just any last words to the fans? The Undertaking, Austin Visser, here's your time to shine.
Yeah, thanks for the support. Obviously, thanks for having us on and talking about our music. Thanks for doing what you're doing for the scene and supporting and getting band stuff out there. So keep that up. And if you're listening to this, you dig our music, like I said, grab some merch, follow along on Spotify, throw our stuff in your playlist. And Funeral Psalms, our debut full-length album, comes out on Solid State Records on April 30th. So we are super proud of this album, and I hope that people listen to it and they come away as passionate about our music as we are, which I doubt is the case, but let's have some fun with it, and we're stoked for people to hear it.
You heard it, guys. Get the album, listen to it, disrespect your cars, speakers, do whatever. And this has been the Confound Millennial, starring Steven Stirvin Michaels and featuring special guest vocalist of The Undertaking, Austin Visser.
I